Pokemon Pocket has been out for a couple of weeks now, and I've got to say that this game is blowing up like crazy. Now, I've got to say, at the original reveal of Pokemon Pocket, I feel like this is something that didn't really excite many people at all, and if you don't remember, this game was actually revealed around the same time, and by around the same time, I mean the exact same time as Pokemon Legends ZA. Obviously, that is the big title game that most people cared about from that announcement. And of course that was on Pokemon Day, so we received a lot of Pokemon related announcements, but this kind of just seemed like any regular card game that is on your phone. Basically you could open packs, collect digital cards, and battle with your friends, except that it wasn't the traditional actual Pokemon trading card game with the original rules. It was kind of just a different version of it with maybe a different rule set. We didn't get much information at all in the initial trailer. We just knew you could collect cards and battle with your friends. Now at first glance, looking at the original trailer, if you actually did play the Pokemon card game and you played Pokemon TCG Live, then right away you would notice that the gameplay looks way different, but you would also notice that the app actually looks really good functionally. You see, we've actually had a mobile Pokemon trading card game for a long time, and a lot of people just don't really care to play it. Yeah, you know, anytime you go to the store and you buy Pokemon cards and you see that little code card there, you just like throw it straight in the trash. It's for that game right there. Now that game specifically is notorious for having many bugs, just glitches in general. Sometimes it's just kind of unplayable. It's got a lot of problems, but if you actually play the Pokemon card game competitively, it is a crucial tool at getting better. In my opinion, it's a great way to test decks out, play against people online, and get the cards without having to actually buy them. But that being said, at first glance, it seemed like Pokemon Pocket might have something new to offer to a newer audience. And of course, I'm somebody that likes to look back at things and look at the comments and kind of see how people were reacting at the time. And it kind of seemed like there were a lot of mixed opinions, and this is kind of what I remember from earlier this year as well. We got some people just saying that these are just Pokemon NFTs basically, you know, there's no point of doing this. It's just going to have microtransactions. It's just going to be a waste of time and a waste of resources. This could have been used to fix the existing game. Why do I want to collect digital cards rather than having the actual physical cards? All things like that pretty much. But there were also some positive comments. There were people excited to collect cards digitally without having to spend money on actually buying physical cards. A lot of other people mentioned wanting to get into the trading card game, never really having the time, and this was a great way to kind of learn. And other people just kind of curious on what this game would end up being. And ultimately, after that original trailer dropped, it was pretty much radio silent for many months until we kind of got to right around launch time. And fast forward to today, and Pokemon Pocket had one of the biggest launches for a mobile game, managing to rack in almost $2 million in revenue through microtransactions. And understandably so. I mean, this game right here, right off the bat, you got your favorite Pokemon, you got your Kanto Pokemon, everybody can relate to those Pokemon, and of course a lot of people that are interested in Pokemon are willing to pick up the game, throw in a couple bucks, and buy their favorite cards, or at least buy the opportunity to hopefully pull their favorite cards. But what makes this game so interesting, and why are people playing this rather than the game that's been out for quite a while? I mean, like I said, anytime you open up a pack of Pokemon cards, there's code cards in there literally advertising the game, but people don't really play that unless you actually play the Pokemon trading card game. Well, I think it goes a little bit deeper than just the actual gameplay itself, and really this game kind of appeals to a wide variety of people. I mean, as we know, Pokemon is a massive franchise and people play the games for different reasons. Some people enjoy the video game, other people enjoy collecting cards, other people enjoy battling with cards. There's a lot of people that like to do different things with Pokemon. And really one of the coolest parts about Pokemon Pocket is just all the different features that the game actually has. Obviously it's very early on, there's going to be more stuff that they add later on, but the actual app itself functions pretty well. The UI looks really nice, just all the different menus. We're getting a lot of events to kind of start off the game. You have the ability to battle people, you have the ability to add friends and collect rewards from that. You can showcase your favorite cards through your binder, you can open up packs, you can do all different kinds of things. And I think that's one area where Pokemon TCG Live kind of fails to reach that broader audience, because really with that game, like I said before, you're kind of building decks, you're playing, it's more like a battle simulator in a sense. Like, yeah, you can get your favorite cards, but it doesn't really feel like you're collecting them, you're kind of just adding them to the decks that you have to build yourself. And if I'm a Pokemon fan trying to learn the card game for the first time, Pokemon TCG Live is not necessarily the best like helping hand to get you to where you need to be. I feel like obviously like the tools to get better are within that app, like you can, you know, test different decks and do different things, but I feel like you need some outside guidance, you need some resources to kind of understand like what it is that you're doing. Because honestly, the Pokemon trading card game, in my opinion, is kind of a complex game. You know, on the surface level it's very basic, but when you talk about, you know, competitive gameplay and just like the more competitive decks, there are a lot of layers to it and a lot of things that you have to learn and understand. You have to kind of know what like all the good cards do and like how they actually affect you. There's a lot of like little nuances that you really have to learn to get good at the game. And it can honestly be very intimidating for newer players, and it can be kind of scary to like learn how to build your own decks. So without those helping hands, without those guidelines, it's really kind of hard to kind of get your footing in the game. With Pokemon TCG Pocket, on the surface level, right away it catches people's attention because of the microtransactions, because people love to open Pokemon card packs, because people just love to do it. Like that's literally how Pokemon has been. People like to buy packs and open them with the chance of getting your favorite Pokemon or your favorite card. So right off the bat, before we even talk about gameplay whatsoever, just the collecting aspect alone is enough to draw some people in. And with how the game is set up and having to wait to open packs, people are willing to spend a couple dollars to open packs fast. So they're racking in that money and they're doing a good job of doing it. But aside from all the extra stuff, let's talk about the gameplay itself. How is the gameplay in Pokemon Pocket? Well, I really hate to use this term, and I don't mean for this to sound bad, but the gameplay is kind of like a dumbed down version of the actual Pokemon trading card game, in my opinion. Traditionally, with a Pokemon trading card game, you have a 60 card deck. In Pokemon Pocket, you have a 20 card deck. And with the official trading card game, you have to take 6 prize cards to win, or 6 points. With Pokemon TCG Pocket, you have to get 3 points, or 3 prize cards. So naturally, with just a 20 card deck and 3 prize points needed, the gameplay in Pokemon Pocket is much faster. Games go by pretty quickly, you're able to play games pretty frequently, and this is a great way to kind of immerse yourself into a mobile game. I always kind of felt like with Pokemon TCG Live, like I obviously like to play a full game of Pokemon, but it does take some time, and a lot of times when I'm on my phone, I'll start up a game. 20 minutes later, I'll still be in that game. I have to go do something, and that kind of forces me to either, try to speed it up, rush through my thinking process, and lose the game, or just have to back out altogether because I'm busy. With Pokemon Pocket, the games are much faster. You can play a game in like 5 minutes. Obviously, some games are going to take longer, but you can get through games pretty quickly, especially if you're playing against Misty. You all know what I'm talking about. But yeah. Now, even though I do say it is a kind of a dumbed down version of the actual trading card game, I don't think it's going to stay like that. And I think that the approach that they're taking right now is actually very smart, where we have a set of cards right now. We know they're going to add more cards in the future, and there's going to be better cards, more complex cards. But right now, the base set in the game is, pretty simple overall. A lot of Pokemon just do regular damage. Some of them have, extra effects to their damage. We have a couple abilities in the game that are pretty good. Then we have some item cards that are pretty much staples across all decks. Pokeball, you have Potion, you have the red card. And same with supporters. You have a lot of standard ones. You have Sabrina, you have Misty, which is good in the water decks. You have the Professor's Research. And I really like that they took this approach because a lot of these cards are universal in pretty much all decks. You look at all the good decks in the game right now, they're all playing Pokeball, they're all playing Potion, they're all playing Professor Research. It's all things that you can kind of universally use in all your decks, and then you can kind of use the Pokemon that you want to use and kind of go from there. The gameplay is pretty simple right now, but there is obviously going to be strategy involved. It's not just like, brainless, not thinking and, attach energy attack. Like there is thinking involved and there are decisions to make, and obviously the game is competitive right now, but again, it is just a lot simpler right now, which is not a bad thing at all. I mean, you take a look at some of the top decks in the game right now. Right now, by far the best deck in the game, in my opinion, and in the opinion of the results of tournaments, is the Pikachu and Zapdos deck. And how does this deck work? Well, you attach energies and you attack as fast as you can. And that's pretty much it. One of the other really good decks that I personally have been using the most is the Gardevoir and Mewtwo deck. With this one, the goal is to have Gardevoir set up on your bench. That way you can use the ability to attach more energies in your turn. And pretty much once you have your Gardevoirs down, you start attaching energies to Mewtwo EX. And once that gets charged up, you're pretty much set to sweep the game. And then the other really good deck in the game right now is, of course, the Water deck that utilizes Starmie EX and Articuno EX. And this is the deck that really relies on Misty, which is a card that can be very infuriating, kind of a no-skill card, if you will. Basically, it's the supporter card where it flips a coin until you land on tails, and for every heads you get, that's another energy you can attach. It's kind of an insane card, not gonna lie. It can be very good or very bad, kind of just depends on your luck, but yeah. And then there are a handful of other decks that are also pretty strong, but just haven't seen the results to be at the very top. I'm talking about Venusaur EX, Charizard EX, Marowak. But overall, all these decks are very easy to understand. You can kind of look at it on the surface level, get the list from online, and figure out, hey, this is what I have to do to win. And I think that's one of the reasons why this game is taking off so fast. A lot of people that have never played the Pokemon card game are actually able to play this and learn it pretty quickly and figure out, hey, this is how the game works. And that being said, there is enough strategy involved to where seasoned Pokemon players still enjoy the game because, like I said, it's faster paced, there is strategy involved, you do have to think. But at the same time, it's kind of just nice because, like, you know, the cards are kind of toned down a little bit. You know, if you played the Pokemon card game recently, there's a lot of crazy things in the Pokemon card game that are happening. I'm talking about Area Zero expanding your bench to up to 8 Pokemon, all the different Dusknoir strategies of being able to add damage and knock yourself out to kind of change the prize cards and then flip things with Counter Catcher, and then you use Thornton to bring Pokemon back from your discard to swap it out with an active Pokemon, then you can evolve it and do all kinds of crazy things. Again, a lot of things very complicated about the Pokemon trading card game, but on the surface level, it's easy to understand, and Pokemon Pocket presents us with that surface level. I mean, when you look back at the Pokemon trading card game, at the original base set and all those cards, the cards kind of remind me a lot of the cards that we're seeing in Pokemon Pocket. It's a lot simpler to understand. I mean, really all you have to understand is you got to do damage and you got to take your prize cards faster than your opponent, and that's a pretty simple concept to understand. And I love this approach because basically what this does is it makes it to where they can only build up from here. They've already had a successful launch, they've already brought so many people into the game that have never played the Pokemon card game in their lives, and they're having fun battling with people. And that means as they add future sets and future cards, I'm sure we're gonna get cards that are a little bit more complex. We're gonna get some more item cards, we're gonna get more supporter cards and new ways to build decks. And it's still gonna be that fast gameplay that we like with 20 cards and 3 prize cards needed to take. But there's gonna be way more strategies, way more viable decks, and just way more cards that do different things. And honestly, it just gives me so much hope for the future of this game because you're seeing so many people play this game for different reasons. People are understanding the game, they're liking the game, they're liking the gameplay. And not only does it just do that, but I feel like it gets people interested in learning the actual trading card game itself. I feel like I've seen it everywhere online of people actually just buying cards and, you know, learning about the trading card game itself because of this game, because they enjoy it so much. And that's something that I personally found myself too. You know, I didn't start learning the card game until last year. I just, you know, would watch the Pokemon World Championships. I was a video game player. You know, I really enjoyed playing the video game, but I was always kind of curious about the trading card game, never really knew where to start. And so what I did was I watched the World Championships, I found a deck that looked cool, I started playing it online, and eventually, you know, I bought the cards myself, started going to local tournaments, and now I start playing it a lot. And I just have so much fun with it because I feel like the game is constantly evolving. There's always new cards that are being added, and it just changes the gameplay so much. And you kind of got that perfect balance between like luck and skill. You know, obviously it's very skill based, but there is luck involved, but it never really feels like luck is like too much of a factor. Unless of course you're playing against Misty and, you know, that happens. I've got to say I've been really enjoying Pokemon Pocket. The only thing I don't enjoy is having to wait to open packs and having to wait to get cards to build decks. I've literally only been using the Mewtwo and Gardevoir deck because I can't get the cards for any of the other decks. I'm always missing like 2 or 3 cards. But aside from that right there, which again makes sense, you got microtransactions. Aside from that, I think the gameplay is pretty smooth. I love the in-app features, and it's just a really fun game overall. But that being said, let me know in the comments if you guys are enjoying Pokemon Pocket yourselves, and if this is kind of your first dive into actually playing the Pokemon card game. And if you guys want more Pokemon Pocket videos or Pokemon TCG videos in general, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I will have more content coming. I've been slacking a little bit on videos. I've been making a lot of Pokemon Close Combat videos, but I do plan on having some Pokemon card stuff here as well, and hopefully I can start doing some streams as well. But that being said, I got nothing else for you guys. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.